to Tea Dilly, where we cheer to educated conservative conversation and values. My name is Christy McLaughlin, and you can call me Christy. I have a new article posted with New Right Network. I will provide the link to that website down below or in the caption, wherever that's going to be posted. But I did want to do a follow-up video. The article that I wrote is a series of what ifs. What could happen in the next few weeks of the election? This was a very fun article for me because whenever I see Democrats, the mainstream media, or social media pushing conservative Trump supporters to accept the results of the election, I have to remind them that the results are not finished. How can we accept something that isn't even complete yet? And that's why I went into a full constitutional analysis of all the things that could happen over the next few weeks with this election process and with all the legal challenges that President Trump has brought forth. I'm a huge nerd. I love the Constitution. And if you love the Constitution as much as I do, no matter what happens, you have to look at what could happen and the whole analysis that applies to realize that this constitutional law is fun. Our founding fathers were geniuses. So let's go down a quick summary of my article and then a follow-up to things that I didn't even address yet. All the things that could happen, the what ifs for this election. 1, there could be a simple and easy win. President Trump could still win re-election. As the numbers are not finished, the votes are not complete in a variety of states. If it turns out that President Trump won Pennsylvania, he won Georgia, he won Arizona, all of which Georgia's in an automatic recount, Arizona is not complete in being counted, Pennsylvania is not complete in being counted, it is fair to say that you could possibly have a fair and simple win for President Trump. That would be pathway 1 for President Trump's victory. There's a second pathway in which the widespread allegations of voter fraud and the legal challenges could make it up to the Supreme Court, resulting in certain states flipping from Joe Biden to President Trump. Those same states would have to be the battleground states of Pennsylvania, Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, in which if any of those states turned from Joe Biden, particularly Pennsylvania or Michigan or even Wisconsin, then it could result in Vice President Joe Biden not having a 270 majority and President Trump still having a pathway to victory. We could have, though, and here's where the really interesting stuff happens, a constitutional crisis, which in my opinion is not a crisis, as the Constitution is very clear of what could happen in this circumstance, in which neither President Trump or Joe Biden receive 270 electoral votes. What happens then? The 12th Amendment. The 12th Amendment is super cool in the Constitution and tangles some very wild and crazy weaves. What could happen is if neither of them reach 270 votes, the House of Representatives, the Congress, votes for who becomes president. Now, before anyone freaks out and says, oh no, the House of Representatives majority is with the Democrats and Nancy Pelosi is Speaker of the House, instead of 435 representatives voting, what really happens is the states within the House Representatives votes. In that case, currently, Republicans hold a majority of state delegates, and all you need is a simple majority, 26 votes, for a pathway of victory for President Trump. That's another outcome. But, like I said, there are lots of tangles and issues with the 12th Amendment. What if a state abstains? What if a state chooses not to vote for whatever reason, including that state among its representatives couldn't agree on who to vote for, Joe Biden or President Trump? In that case, if there's no simple majority of 26 states that vote, the vote then goes to the Senate to vote for vice president instead. That means no president gets elected and we vote on a vice president instead, in which whoever would win that Senate vote would rise from vice president to president. Right now, the Republicans hold a majority in the Senate, which means all you need is 51 votes to go to Mike Pence for Mike Pence to become president. Mike Pence could then nominate a vice president. Ideally, it would be President Trump, in which then you actually do need a majority of the House of Representatives and the Senate to vote in favor of that nomination. Very unlikely given how much the Democrats hate President Trump and how they've attacked President Trump over the last 4 years. But I'm getting ahead of myself. What if we have 2 senators abstain or flip towards the Democrats? That's not a crazy thought. Mitt Romney has always been very outspoken against President Trump. He is our resident rhino. Suzanne Collins might abstain, saying that she doesn't want to vote on this issue as it takes away from the American people. If that happens and there's no simple majority for vice president, then we don't have a president or vice president elected. Then what happens on January 20th? Who starts a new term? Anybody know? Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, could become president. It's possible. That's how up in the air this election is. Now, I'm not telling you all of this to scare you, and I'm not telling you this just to nerd out over the Constitution. I am a little bit. But the reason why I'm sharing this is because the mainstream media, through the orders of the Democrats, has tried to manipulate the American people into thinking this race is a done deal. I'm giving you all the examples of what could happen from this election in the next few weeks because it's that up in the air. It is that undecided, and so many issues could arise. So many constitutional issues, so many legal issues with all the challenges of voter fraud, malfeasance, bad faith actors, wrong counting. Anything could happen. And that is why whenever I hear as a conservative Trump supporter that Democrats are demanding that I accept the results of the election, how can I accept these results? There are no results. In fact, over the last 4 years, the Democrats have attacked the results of the 2016 election. It started when Robert Mueller had accused President Trump of Russia collusion and that the entire 2016 election was due to Russian collusion and an attack on our electoral process. That turned out empty. And then actually at the beginning of this year, President Trump had to go through the impeachment hearings. Then that also came up empty. Then we had the coronavirus pandemic where they tried to shut down the economy, the #1 platform point of our president. Then they had BLM and Antifa riots destroying our great cities. Then we had extreme censorship through social media, extreme censorship of conservative voices in Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, even TikTok, in which people could not communicate their thoughts and they were being silenced in preparation for the election. Now, lastly, they suddenly want to claim a victory when there has been no victory for Joe Biden, and they want us to stay silent. Over the last 4 years, these attacks have not only strengthened the Democrats, it was an attempt to weaken us as conservatives. And what would truly point out to our weakening is if we just shrug our shoulders and accept the results without following the constitutional values and the constitutional venues of this process. The mainstream media wants to portray President Trump as a dictator that won't accept the results of the election. But all President Trump is doing is using constitutional law. He didn't even write the Constitution. The Constitution is there, and the Constitution is clear on all of the ways that there still is a path to victory for President Trump. And we have to allow these legal challenges to play out. I do not accept the results of this election until these results are proven to be legal and constitutional. I want our electoral process to maintain integrity. We deserve better as American people, and we have a right to know, and the state has a duty to establish that the vote was sincere and legitimate. I'll be waiting and seeing what happens in the next few weeks, but I hope you enjoyed the synopsis of all the things that could happen. Don't forget to follow us at TDilly with my Facebook pages, my Twitter pages, my Instagram pages, and Parler pages as well. That will be coming up at the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.